Paddy O'Kelly is my name. I'm here in West Limerick, milking 120 spring calving cows on a grass-based system.
My name is Declan Stack. I'm a veterinary surgeon in Waterside Veterinary in Drumcolliher. We're a 3-vet mixed practice, Excel Vet member. We deal with both large and companion animals. I would have qualified from UCD in 2019, so I'm just over 5 years working as a vet. I'd have worked mainly in North Cork, and Drumcolliher would be on the West Limerick North Cork border, so I moved recently to my local practice.
I suppose what I find rewarding is breeding healthy animals, breeding healthy calves. Every time you bed the calves, they're running around in the fresh straw, looking at the cows grazing fresh grass, and I suppose having pride in what you do really, and keeping the place tidy, and the progression of the cows throughout the years in, you know, after all the work you put in from day one, all the breeding, and it's nice to see the progression throughout the years.
There's a few things. I like the variety, especially in mixed practice. You could be doing a cesarean on a cow in the morning and then looking at an itchy dog in the evening. You know, any day could throw up anything to you. But also I love the social side of it. It's very social. You're never really working alone. You're always working either with other vets or with a client, swapping stories even, and a lot of it can even be light-hearted at times. So it's nice that there's a social side to it as well.
I suppose the first one is colostrum. It's probably the most important part because it sets up the calf, I think, for the rest of her life really. So we always get colostrum into the calf within 2 hours, 3 litres. I think it's fierce important. Second one, I suppose, is just a good bed. The calves need a good bed, good fresh air, plenty fresh water, plenty quality feed. And the third one, I suppose, I think it's the most important one really, is the transition from milk replacer, I suppose, a milk-based diet to a solid-based diet, and not to take them off the milk too soon. That mistake has been made before. Make sure the rumen is fully developed before they go off milk, and I think they'll hit the ground running then at that stage.
The first one really would be the 1-2-3 rule. Calves are born as neonates, so they're born without an immune system. So it's essential in the first day that they get that colostrum early, so that they get the first milk from the cow, which is the colostrum, within the first 2 hours of life, and that they receive 3 litres. And what that does is it supplies the calf with antibodies that the calf might need to survive from the pathogen specific to that farm as well. So it's important that it gets from the mother of the cow. Now that's not always possible, but replacement colostrum is good too. But that would be the big one really. Second, calf environment is massive. So what you like is you want a nice deep dry bed. So when you walk into a pen of calves, if there's calves lying down, you want them to be, their legs to be nearly covered by the straw, that they're nice and nestled in, they're nice and warm, and that when you kneel down in that straw, that your pants aren't wet. Because if you're kneeling down in that and your pants are wet, then when the calf lies down it's a wet bed. The other thing would be just a farm-specific vaccination program and health management program. So implementing things like pneumonia vaccines if that farm has a historical problems with pneumonia, and implementing other things like precision microbes and adding them to the diet of the transition calf, as when calves go from monogastric to ruminant, it really helps them in that transition, you know, and it keeps calves nice and strong, you know.
I suppose the most practical thing I've wished I learned sooner is fail to prepare to fail. So we vaccinate here all the calves for pneumonia early on. All the cows are vaccinated for scour. 8 weeks pre-calving. I suppose the cows get a good pre-calver as well. It's just prevention, I suppose, really. Once you prevent anything happening like pneumonias or scours, it makes our job very, very easy, and just nip everything in the bud, and life is easy after that.
So a practical tip that usually you'd advise to farmers would be try and have the same person feeding the calves, you know, because calves are individuals at the end of the day, and different calves have even almost different personalities, you know, and there's one guy that might normally drink a little bit slower than the rest, and he might need a little bit of extra care, and if you've the same person feeding them every day, they're more aware of that kind of thing, you know. They say, right, I need to give extra time to this calf to feed him. The other side of it is, if a calf is behaving abnormally to what he usually is, they'd pick it up quicker. So if he's a little bit slower to come to the milk bar, it'll be caught maybe quicker, you know, and you get much more effective treatments when they're detected early.
Again, I suppose you can't beat looking at healthy calves inside in the pen after bedding them. They're running around in circles, kicking the legs up in the air. You get a great satisfaction out of that. And I suppose once you look after them, it's like any animal. Once you look after the animal, they look after you. Once you look after the calf when they're young, if they hit the ground running, they'll give it back to you in dividends for the rest of their life, because they'll make sure they're hitting their targets at breeding. We breed here around 14 months, and we calve down around 2 years. And if you have a good growing animal, they'll give it back to you in the tank for years to come. So that's very rewarding then, and just again see the progression of them animals as the years go on.
The best piece of advice I would have received in relation to work was when I was actually a student and I was doing placement. Especially in the springtime, a lot of things might go wrong, or that you might have a day of giving out poor prognoses for certain animals and things, and it's just important to remember it's never your fault the animal is sick, you know, so all you can do is kind of your best for the animal and for the client. And you know, you're going to have bad days and good days, but just to remember it's kind of never your fault, and it's never even the client's fault either, you know. Just some things happen, you know, and it's just important to remember that, and each day is kind of new.
The best piece of advice I ever received was every day is a school day. You're always learning, and I suppose no matter what you go at, give it 100%. You know, same in the farm there, like if you don't give it everything, you know, you'll get the rewards once you give it everything. And embrace new technologies, embrace new ideas. Things are changing as the years go on. Like the collars for the cows now, for instance. You know, you've got to jump on that and make life easier for yourself.
I enjoy a lot of podcasts because of the nature of the job. You do a lot of driving, so I enjoy the Dave McWilliams podcast. I think it's entertaining on what's usually a kind of a boring subject of economics, but I think he puts a good spin in it. And obviously I think the Farmers Journal have a new veterinary podcast as well, so that should be good as well. I'm looking forward to that coming out as well. You know,
things go wrong in every yard. No matter how good you do a thing, there's good days, there's bad days. And the bad days, just pick up the phone, ring a friend, I think is the thing, and just chat it out with the friend, because you think you're having a problem, and you realise they're having a problem as well. I suppose, and just get out the yard. If things are going bad, just go away and have a cup of coffee and recharge the batteries, and the next day is always a better day. You know, there's days, and I suppose don't take the problem up home, live in the farm, and tomorrow morning start anew again, and yeah, keep it going like that, and it works out fine.
It's something I adapted maybe in the last 2 years. I find it very beneficial to get a substantial meal in early in the day. Because of the nature of the job, you could have a backlog of calls, so I find the earlier you get a good quality and wholesome meal in early, it really sets you up for the day, and you're not feeling hungry and cranky when you're going around to calls and things like that. So it makes a big difference, I think, and even mentally you feel better.
Farmers are not paid enough is one thing that people, you know, don't realise. We put in a lot of hours in farming. I honestly think we don't get fully rewarded for it. You know, we're always chasing milk price. As long as I'm farming, you know, maybe 1 year milk price isn't enough, and I think, you know, people don't realise that. You know, don't get me wrong, it's a great life, great lifestyle, but I just think we don't get rewarded enough for what we do.
There's a new trend in them, but from my experience with them, they're very beneficial, especially in young animals, where we talk about this transition from monogastric to ruminant all the time, and I find it really, really helps that. You know, it really secures that there's a good microbiome in the gut, and that it really gives the calf almost an advantage that it wouldn't normally have above not being on them. The other thing is, even when dealing with sick calves, it can be beneficial. You would find maybe a scoury calf, or even in small animals, a dog with diarrhea, I find it very beneficial and almost shortens the treatment time sometimes, like from clinically sick to normal consistency again. So it's beneficial that way too.
I suppose we finish here every evening at 6 always, and I'm involved with a few underage hurling teams and football teams and a soccer team. I love that, love going to matches, love going to GM matches. There isn't a night here or an evening here where either myself or my wife Mara are training the team or involved with the team. It's a great way to switch off. It's a great way to get to know our kids' friends, and love going to matches on weekends. You know, I suppose we're lucky we're in Limerick at the moment, and we're after a good old few years with Limerick hurling, and hopefully we'll get a few more years out of that. Yeah.
Well, for every funny story, there's kind of a lesson learned. So when I was probably 2 months qualified, I would have gone squeezing bulls for a man, and you know, it's your first time, it's your first visit, and you're only new in the area, and you're trying to make an impression, and you might be a bit naive to some of the dangers of it. So they were maybe a bit strong. So I ended up getting kicked in the head anyway, and spent a night in hospital getting stitched up and things. But all fine, and I was concussed for a week. But I met the man that owned them 3 weeks later, and we were just chatting away, and I told him I'll never forget that one anyway, and he said, I'd say it's more that you'll never remember it. So it's very important to have a good client-patient practice relationship, that you're familiar with the farm, because individual farms can vary. Even in one road they can be completely different, so it's very important to be familiar with the client and with the setup and with the type of cow and the management systems and things that are going on the farm, and to be regularly having a discussion about it, that you're able to prescribe the appropriate treatment that might work in that farm, and implement even new vaccination plans and things like that that would be most beneficial for that individual farm, rather than just with every farm should do this. You know what I mean? It should be very individualised in your treatment. What do you think of that, Paddy?
Yeah, sure. The vet is very important to the farmer. Can't do without the vets, really and truly. There's only so much a farmer can do. I think it's very important to have a good relationship with the vet. You know, I've often gone over to the office there to the boys, and I'll pick up the phone and ask a question. And it's very important that they know the farm and know the farmers and know the animals. A lot of the time, I suppose the vets come into the yard, the cow is probably, you know, she needs, you're hoping they'll perform a miracle on the cow, you know, because the farmer can only do so much. But I find them brilliant with calves. I had problems there last year with bloat and calves, and it's great to get the advice of the vets. You're going to have problems with cows throughout the year as well, and you know, you can't. They're always at the end of the phone, and I think they provide a really, really good service. Like, yeah.
Well, the farmer does a lot of it too. The farmer is not just the vet. It's important, like, that the farmer, like, you learn a lot of new things from farmers. It's not like the vet doesn't know everything. You, like, from calls, you'll often pick up an awful lot from farmers, and like, the advice goes both ways, and it's important that it does, and that you're open to it, and that both the farmer and the vet are comfortable enough with each other that both will listen to the other is a big thing, you know, for me anyway. And, like, you know, especially for new grads and things like that with vets, it's very important to listen to farmers as well, because they're in it a long time, and, you know, their eyes are good, you know, they can pick up a lot of things that you mightn't, as a, you know, so it's important to listen to each other.
Are you happy with that answer?
If you are, I am. Are you?
I think you were complimenting the vets too much. That's why we did with the third one. I was like, he's not worshipping vets.